cozy.
What a week.
What a week.
It's been...
What a few days.
It's been insane.
It's been a lot.
It's been maybe the most challenging week.
I think so. It's definitely been my most tumultuous week since maybe this January when I was in a bit of a lull.
I think I would have to agree with
Yeah.
me. Like mentally, I feel like it was
Honey.
well, we've had so much has happened. It's been such a crazy, just such a crazy time.
Yeah.
Like, but it's good. We're here.
Yeah, we're here.
We're still going.
Absolutely. We've got some kind of it's sour news. It's not ideal to share, but
Yeah.
it's all good.
It's all
It's
good.
a good message. It's a good opportunity.
Exactly.
And it's a good opportunity to see it as a good opportunity.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
We're gonna try and we're gonna try and use this as a positive thing to propel forward, and maybe spend the next hour trying to articulate that into something good and nice.
Think so too,
that could be good.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah. Okay.
Lovely.
All right.
Nice. Should we say a word or two about bean coffee?
Absolutely.
Our bean coffees.
Our bean coffees. We you guys will know this by now.
Yeah.
But we sound like broken records. But it is.
But bean support us so much. So
they do. Yeah.
It's like it's nice that we get to then talk about them as well.
Yeah, and it's nice that and it is nice that we genuinely love the place, and we love the people, and we love the ethos and the coffee. It's great. So it's that in a sense is a privilege to be able to talk about.
It definitely is, yeah. But bean coffee, so local Liverpool roasters roast their own coffee here, multiple venues across the city centre, always great service, great team, great coffee. And you can download their loyalty app, which is just an app on your phone that you keep, so that every time you buy a coffee you get points. Collect enough points, get free coffee. You'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And
it's not like having a loyalty card that you can leave at home or forget, and then you don't get the points and you don't get your free coffee. It's there on your phone permanently.
Absolutely. And free coffee tastes better than normal coffee.
Yeah.
So it's always worth having and collecting the points.
And you're supporting independent, which is always a great thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can check out We love Bean. And you can check out the loyalty app in our video description. Yeah. So thank you, Bean. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Right. God, where do we even start?
So
let's wind it back. Let me set the scene for you and the people.
Okay.
It's last Sunday.
Yeah. Yesterday?
No, the one before that. It's 2 weeks on Sunday. It's 2 weeks on Sunday. No, it's the Monday.
It's the Monday.
After. It's the Monday morning after the weekend that you've just had.
Yeah.
And the week ahead.
Yeah.
Talk about where you're at and what's going on.
Well, the Monday, everything was happy as Larry because it was a day that we got to spend together, and it was my birthday the day before, which feels like ages ago right now. It feels like a long time ago, even though it was only a week ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, Monday was lovely. We had the whole day together, getting brunch, shopping, just being with each other after a very, very busy, intense weekend of both of us hardly getting to see each other, being just busy with work. Mike had back-to-back gigs all day. I had markets back-to-back all day.
I had 7 gigs in 3 days, which was that was insane for me.
And then I think Tuesday was...
Well, you'd had that weekend for you was like, that Sunday was pretty intense, and the weekend for me was really intense.
Yeah.
And then Monday came, and also you were doing your website sales for your birthday. Mm-hmm. So that Sunday was like a joint. It was like a market and a website.
Yeah, it was
bonanza.
Busy. But I think I spoke about that on the last podcast, so people know that.
Yeah.
But then
Monday
was lovely. But then I just feel like from Monday, the week just started to decline for me. I just started to feel very anxious. I was feeling really worried about things that, when you just overthink things and start getting in your own head and worry. And I was panicking because I didn't have any markets for this weekend coming. And I didn't have anything I didn't have anything the weekend just gone, sorry. So I was panicking. I didn't have anything planned for that. I was panicking. I didn't have anything in this weekend. And it's sad, but I just was kind of spiraling, worrying, thinking, yeah, loads of things was getting to me. And I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, I think, of being like nervous and anxious about things. And then you kind of just latch on to these worries, and then you just get absolutely carried away with them. And so the week started to look more and more like destitute each day of just overthinking and spiraling and not really putting my like mental health first. And I was still doing some things, I was still going to the gym some days, and I do feel like generally I was still doing things, but I think I just had a bad case of burnout and like hormonally feeling very up and down as well. And yeah, one of the days I just totally mentally checked out, and I think we'd been in the gym. I got back, and you then had to go out and get started with gigs and stuff, or you were doing stuff, and I just felt like I've not got the capacity to do anything right now, and I just ate.
I think that was on Friday, wasn't it?
Friday?
That was Friday,
yeah.
And like, so it had been building a bit like this, because you were saying like, oh, you've got 2 weeks now where you've not got any markets booked in.
Yeah.
That's the first time in a while that you've had that situation. And
there was a few other things of like looking ahead for the rest of the year, things that were getting me down about things that I'd maybe tried to do for my business that hadn't worked out, and maybe a few like knockbacks and a few opportunities that I thought were going to be there for me but weren't. And I was like, it kind of just all hits you a little bit, and then your ability to like keep bouncing back and stuff just gets a little bit diminished each time. And then the Friday I just completely mentally checked out, just absolutely stared into space for most of the day, eating chocolate biscuits. And I haven't done that in such a long time. Like, I can't remember the last time I fully just like.
Well, that's tough, because that's that's like really unlike you.
I know.
And that's like, I think for a lot of reasons you might assume that that's like an okay thing. Like, it's like, oh, you reach burnout, and I just needed to like switch off and like eat a full pack of biscuits. And then it's like, but I think it's more about what that represents with that's happening inside you, and where your mindset's at. And then the idea of being like, well, like you're not nourishing your body properly.
No,
you're not moving the body.
No, you're not being in total just self-sabotage mode of just being like, nope, and it is a shame. But it's one of them, like I was saying to you just before on the ride home, like it was kind of good that it happened, because you kind of like succumb and you kind of surrender a bit, and then you realize like, oh, this actually isn't, like, I tried that and it didn't work. Does that make sense? Like,
tried what exactly?
I tried giving in to what I was feeling like I could do,
right.
And I thought that it would make it better, but actually it kind of just made it worse. And then it's kind of like, not like I don't want to sound over dramatic, but people talk about hitting rock bottom, and then they have to like, they hit rock bottom, it literally can't get any worse from there. And I'm not saying that me just eating a pack of Fox's chocolate biscuits on the couch is me hitting rock bottom, because that's like very dramatic and drastic. But
for a woman that's like, for a woman that like all year you've been very, very proactive, in your work life, in your,
and I might have like low moments or down moments, but you just bounce back, and you bounce back from it. But that was like a week of feeling like things are just I'm getting more and more stressed and anxious, and then I just completely just just totally checked out. And but then that was the Friday.
So that was the Friday.
And then the Saturday, I came back. I bounced back a lot better on the Saturday. I was busy all day.
Yeah.
We were at the gym. I was working. I was like getting on things. I was doing good things. And
you were. That's right.
It was the Friday night.
It was the Friday night that
something happened.
We were, so like that morning. I think like We had gone to the gym on Friday, hadn't we?
Yeah,
we had,
yeah.
and but we were spending a lot of time after the gym talking, because you were saying that, you know, you'd had a couple of knockbacks with you know, things with the business, and that's always a tough thing, and you were feeling a bit burnt out, and I knew that I had a weekend of gigs ahead of me, and my time was a bit pushed, so as much as it would have been nice to have just sat and been with each other and been like, let's talk this through, let's have some proper designated time, I had to run out to a gig, and before I left, you said, like, you know, I'm just gonna like turn my phone off, and I just need some time just to, you know, zone out a little bit, and then that's how we left it. Not that was a thing with us, like that we were not talking, just, you know.
No.
And then I was at the gig and I was halfway through the gig, and I got a text from you, and you were like, you know, I think our Keep Growing account has been hacked. And
Instagram.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, and I was in the middle of playing, and my phone was like lighting up with your messages, and I was like,
oh no,
I saw
that
hacked.
Must have been so annoying to see.
Cause not annoying,
but just like you can't do anything because you're still playing and stuff.
You wanna drop everything and be like, what, like, you know, like you want to get on the phone to MI5 or whoever it is, be like, you know, there's a hacker, and But then, yeah, you know, so we were trying to. I was gigging, and you the phone had been off for a few hours, and so who, you know, how we don't know how long.
I've turned my phone off for a few hours, like since I can remember as well. And I woke up.
So convenient, isn't it? So
how weird is that? Very, very. What are the chances? You know.
What are the chances?
But
yeah,
that's what you get for taking a minute from social media. But no,
I'm not turning my phone off.
But yeah, I got some notifications about suspicious activity from one of our accounts, and noticed that I couldn't log into our Keep Growing page. It disappeared from my admin page, and saw that it had gone, and I was so confused. And I thought for a second, like, oh no, I'm sure it's just silly, like I don't think anything's actually happened there, and then tried to log in, it wasn't working. Then I start getting messages from people saying, I think the account's been hacked, they're posting some dodgy stuff, because at this point I couldn't see what was being posted on the account.
I know, it's horrible, isn't it?
Like, it's posting dodgy stuff, and I was like, what dodgy stuff? Like, it's really making me nervous, and you know, and then just, you know, it was just the classic like Bitcoin mining stuff, like, oh, you know, we bought this car and you can buy one too, and things like that, trying to get money off people, and
so
you know, so it wasn't like the most like vicious or like actual cyber attack hack or anything like that. It was just a classic case of
a hack is still a hack, though.
A hack is a hack. They took our account, took over our account. They
removed us. Like
they removed us. They changed the email address. They changed the phone number. They like disabled two-factor authentication or whatever it is, to the point where I was there like all night submitting these you know, facial recognition videos so they could confirm like my identity as the person in the account and all that. To which was working, and it worked, and I got back in the account, and then I was made up, and I was doing the security checkups and stuff, and then all of a sudden the same thing would happen. I'd get an email and they'd be like, you've changed your email address. I'd be like, no, and then it'd log me out again. And then
within seconds.
I'd do the same thing over and over again for hours, and I was truly getting to my wit's end with it, where I was just breaking down, like, why is this, like, not why we've been hacked, because that happens, like, that's just a, you know, it's a shitty thing that the internet has to offer, that happens all the time, but why is it impossible to get it back when we've got all the security details and we've got like the backup codes and things like that? Why was it able to happen? Like,
why weren't any of us notified? Why didn't we get any?
Why wasn't there more attempts from like the Instagram side to block it happening?
Like, because the fact that like I got back, and then I tried to get in as well, and it was like, you know, I had to do the whole facial recognition thing, but then it's like I did that and got back in, and then a few seconds later we got hacked again. So it's like, whatever's going on, it must be the same procedure for the hackers. Like, they must have to do the facial recognition thing, and they must have to do...
No. They'll have some other malware thing that's overrides
that just bypasses
that.
it.
Yeah.
Well, then it's like, you know, that's kind of for me, that made me feel quite sour about Instagram and Meta in general, because it's like, if that was a personal account, and I've seen the exact same hack happen to people,
and you like, or you get messages or things like that where it's like, oh, I've been locked out of my account, like, can you help? And I'm like, nah, sus, you know.
But it's like you know, that is, I've seen it happen, and I've seen it happen to personal accounts, which is just as bad. It's terrible, like, because it's a violation of someone's, you know, you submit a certain thing to Instagram, you submit your information, I submit a certain level of vulnerability that's in your hands, and then something like this happens, and then it's like, what? So you're the front line because I'm just a person here. So you've got security, and you've supposed to got something that's set up. What do we do about it? And there was virtually nothing in the way of getting the account back, trying to rectify it, who do you talk to?
Yeah.
There was no one to talk to. It's just basically like an account center that sends you on like a wild
loop,
goose chase.
A help center that doesn't help.
And even more so as well, because it's like, you know, it's twofold. It's like, I'll just keep growing account is it's a personal account, but we do also treat it as a business in the sense that we think about it in how we're going to grow it. We think about it as how are we going to try and get more reach and make better content. And the second thing being that the whole point of it is to be trying to help and to try and bring something
bring some positivity and
then somehow that has been taken over and used then to try and push Bitcoin to scam people, and you know, our privacy has been violated. We've not been the only people that stand to lose anything now is us. Instagram don't really lose anything, and the people at Hack don't lose anything. You know, we've lost the account, and now it's we were the ones that spent all the time building it up, and now we have to make the decision to either just be like, well, look, what if we do that again? What if we spend a year building that back up to where it was, and then it gets hacked again, and the same thing happens, you know? Which is kind of like a really, like, you know, negative way of looking at it. But it's also, I feel like the things that we were talking about there and that I've just mentioned, that is kind of a real, it's a real thing. Like, you know, we did all the right things to have the protection set up.
Which is so frustrating. Like, and I guess because you think, what else is there to do? Like, we're just all, you know, it's like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? It's it is one of them. But
and it could, you know, it could have been worse. It could have been, we could have had 6,000 followers, and we could have had we could have had scheduled posts that were with like other collaborators or
that's true.
We could have invested like you know, like paid advertisements that were coming up and stuff.
I mean, it's crazy that I mean, people that's what I mean. If you can, I guess they're just looking for maybe that account was somehow vulnerable, something that we'd both missed when we set it up, and that's why it got hacked. Maybe there are things we could have done. Maybe there are things that, you know, all these influencers and big companies and stuff that have Instagrams, they've got all these extra protection things to stop it getting hacked because, you know, they've got like millions of followers and stuff. But
yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, it is a tough one because it just feels like a bit of a slap in the face. And we have spent all year like working on it and putting videos out and like asking people to follow us and support it, and then now it's kind of like you're faced with now a thing of, like you said, like a thing of like, do we start it again and, you know, build it back up for the same thing to happen? And I guess like there can't really be I don't really think there's an option to not start it again, because it, like we were saying earlier, it kind of goes against the whole premise behind the page of this thing of, you know, don't give up on something and grow and run at something. Like, it doesn't matter if it, you know, if it works out in that way. You have to do it for the sake of it's like your life. And if you don't take the steps to look after it and look after yourself in all these types of ways, then, you know, we've both kind of seen what that looks like on the other side of it, and it's not pretty. And you know, so then if we didn't start it again, it's kind of like, we let that be us, you know. That was what it took, and then we stopped it. And I think, you know, knowing that that's, for me anyway, I just feel like that's not an option to not start it again.
Yeah.
But, you know, like we were saying, we can see it as we're going to see it as an opportunity to, like, start it a bit fresh and see it with a new perspective, maybe, of, like, how can we use this thing that's happened that's not ideal, it's not our fault, it's a circumstance there that anyone would be like, yeah, can't be bothered starting all that again, because, you know, you spent more than half a year building it up, doing all this stuff, and that's what you got. Or, like, you just goes to show, doesn't it, like, you know, don't bother. And it's like, nah, you can't go down that road. So
I must admit, I feel like I'm more in that cynical mindset
really?
place.
That's so interesting.
Not in a way where it's like, because I think, like, I know we're gonna start it again. I know that it's like it's like you say, there's no other option. I know it's gonna happen, but I do feel a sense of,
you bastards, like,
just like I've been in this situation, you and I have been. It feels like assault or like a robbery. We've been or we've something's been taken from us.
And so things are always taken from the innocent as well.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean though? Like, they're the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
That account was the most vulnerable, maybe in some security things that we didn't do, but also in a sense that it was something trying to give a positive light.
Yeah.
And that's what's most vulnerable to predators out there in the world.
But it's just like, but we you know, we've been the ones that have been, like, hurt from that. There is nothing in the form of any sort of, like, soothing or, like, or justice or, like, any investigation or anything. And there's something that really, you know, hurts me about that.
You hate injustice, don't you? You hate, like, when we see, like, groups of, like, tossers and stuff out and about, and they're just doing whatever and no one can do anything because what are you going to do? You might get hurt trying to step in, but it's annoying that they're the ones that get to go and do that. I
think that was on the same night, actually. I'd gone to in the break, I'd gone to get a little grenade bar, and because that's what I do. I finish. I do half my gig and I say, okay, I've earned a treat, so I'll go and get a grenade bar. And I went and I was walking down Seal Street to get a grenade bar, and there was, like, a group of, like, 4 or 5 kids. You couldn't have been more than 12, 13, you know, just with sort of, you know, scally mentality, and a bunch of police walked past them, and they started to heavily berate the police officers. Like, they were shouting, you know, effing pigs and, you know, F you and stuff like that. And I was thinking, like, how are these police, how are they going to handle this now? Because if I think that a lot of the time when I'm walking down the street and I see 4 or 5 people, you know, hooded on bikes coming towards me.
They look like they're up to no good.
They look like they want something. I'm thinking, like, I don't know how this would play out if this was me. So I'm going to look towards my role models in this situation and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything. The police turned around and said something like, "How old are you?" And they just kept really heavily swearing at them and berating them. And then another one said, like, "Oh, you know, but they can't say it to your face, can you?" And I just thought, like, this is a horrible thing of, like, they're just going to now get away with it, and they're going to think that that's okay, and then they're going to grow up and they're going to keep pushing the boundaries. And it felt kind of like this, and now it feels like the same thing with this hacking thing. It's like there is so much of that going on where it's like, you know that thing of, like, someone walks all over you or someone does something to wrong you, and you are powerless to do anything against it.
Yeah.
And I can't, you know, that's me having, like, a small little taste of it. Like, obviously I'm aware that there's much bigger things going on right now that are a billion times worse than that, but
I know what you mean.
It just has an effect on you where you start to think, like, oh no, like,
it's a small part of, like, a huge issue in the world, isn't it, when things happen, that something happens to you that you don't deserve for the sake of someone else, and then you just think, like, there is a cynical thing where you just think, like, why do I bother?
And why is no one, we're in the right here. We're the ones that need protecting in that sense, or we're the ones that need justice or validation. So why is it that it works the other way.
Yeah.
In these situations, the people that have gotten away with it, there is no...
I hate that they got the account.
We sort of got this isn't a last laugh at all, like, but what we got back into the account.
We did, yeah.
Right at the end, and we deleted it because and even after we deleted it, the email got changed again, which meant that someone else had got, after we hit the nuclear button.
But the account is gone, so it's like, if we can't have it, no one can.
And it's like, we'd rather shoot it and be like, that was us taking, we like took the action.
If it was you and me and there was like zombies coming for us, I'd rather shoot you than let them take you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Would you like shoot me?
It depends on, are we totally outnumbered?
I think it's that the horde is coming for us. We've got nothing, but we've got 2 bullets.
Is there a door? There's no
trap door underneath the bar, no.
So it's a wall. It's a wall and they're coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd shoot you first.
Oh.
Yeah,
but I'd shoot yourself.
And then
you don't even shoot yourself. You get out.
I used the shotgun as pretended like I'm on a broomstick and pretend to be a witch in my last moments, and then forget to pull the trigger and I get eaten. Yeah.
Nice.
But that was where I was at a couple of days ago.
It was a rough night. It was a rough few days. Like, I feel like I mean, even now it's like I still feel upset and I still feel hurt and violated. And that's a tough thing to be able to be like, pick yourself up and dust yourself off and, and just carry on, because there's a lot of parts that I think of our personality that we wouldn't necessarily stand for that if it was something else that was within our power to change. We wouldn't just say, keep your head down, keep your voice, you'd be like, no, I'm gonna make it. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should try and boycott Instagram on our and be like, hey, listen, like, why is it that we've now our small little tiny business that was trying to help people has been hijacked, and there's just nothing in the pipeline. We demand our... We're suing Meta.
Or we demand the heads of the people that like proper Game of Thrones style. We demand to be brought to the Red Keep.
What's it called? Trial by combat.
Trial by combat. Yeah. Yeah. Who would you get in for that? Who do you know who's massive?
Well, you can do it yourself. You can choose my...
to represent you.
Yeah.
How do you fight a bot? It's Matrix stuff,
that sounds like the start of a joke.
How do you fight a bot?
You, I don't know.
With a gigafight.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Nice.
Did you just think of that on the spot?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good.
But jokes won't bring the page back.
So, what are we doing now? We are... we're going away for a few days now. We're gonna start the page up again together. We're gonna start afresh,
clean slate.
Hopefully we can try and give it some shout outs over the next few weeks and be like, if anyone can go back and follow us and share it, maybe. Who knows? This happens to people and then their accounts go viral because everyone's like, oh my god, these poor people, like...
Yeah.
So if you can make that happen for us, guys, that would be lovely.
It would be genuinely nice to if there are some regular listeners, because obviously we can't promote this on anything because it's not there.
Yeah.
But if any people are our regular listeners, if you did want to help us out and do us a solid, just checking out the new page, which maybe we'll put it in the description of this video.
That's a good idea. We'll have a link to it, and I'm assuming that you used to follow us on our Keep Growing account, so any kind of support and stuff would be lovely. Hopefully by the time this goes out on Wednesday, we'll have a new account, so
for sure. I think so.
Any support in that realm would be super appreciated, obviously.
That really would go a long way for us. Thanks so much if you can help. And like you always say to me, whenever you always have such a great, you have such a, like, not, it's kind of stoic, but it's also just like,
it's positive because whenever anything bad happens, or I'm like, oh, like this didn't work out or this didn't happen, you'll always, well, you'll never feed into what I'm trying to do with be like, oh, like, I want, you know, you want that feeling to be like validated, which you do, but then you're always like way more quick to look at it on the other side and be like, well, see this as an opportunity to look at this or focus on this or like change. It's like seeing what's happened and going like, yeah, that's not ideal, but I can either like see it that way and just dwell on that, or I can put my energy into seeing it as an opportunity and seeing what I can learn from it, or what something I might do different, or something, a chance for something else, as opposed to
like a rebirth or a rediscovery or you know, you just look at things in a different perspective. I appreciate that, and I think you're very good at that too, and I think we do help each other. You know, we really help each other in that regard. I think like we were talking about this a little bit before. What was really nice today was that we woke up today and the weather was really nice. It's like in a bit of an Indian summer here. Yeah. There was like a haze, but
there was a beautiful haze.
But it was like a cold haze, like which was great. Just a nip. So we went for a run around the park, which we've not done in a while.
And it was beautiful.
It was so great, so lovely.
Yeah.
And then we got like a really nice coffee, and we sat and we just talked for a little bit. And partly why the hacking thing stung so much was because I think we were talking beforehand about, you know, being in the frame of mind and jobs that we do. So much of our time is spent, you know, grinding and hustling and pushing and
taking knockbacks after knockbacks.
Taking knockbacks and just picking yourself up and being like, let's just keep going. And I think that, you know, when we were talking over brunch, it was like I was sort of articulating that I feel like I've been in that frame of mind for so long because we've not had like a break from that. Like
we don't have days off. We don't have breaks in that sense.
And I feel okay by that. I feel like I've sort of turned my mindset into this thing where I actually get a rush from
working and being busy.
Yeah, and from manifesting things and getting excited about new things and being like I can, and I know you do too. But
you've defo helped ingrain that into me as opposed to the other way around. I think you've just had it.
Well, you know but vice versa. You know, you told me the other day that you were like on the Saturday, the day after we got hacked, and you know we went to the gym and then we split up forever. We're just doing this last one as a courtesy to you guys. And then I went and did some stuff, and you were like, I'm gonna go and do some stuff, and you were like, yeah, you know, I'm inquiring about these markets, I'm inquiring about this, like, even though the day before you'd had a load of knockbacks and we'd been hacked. And it was like, yeah, insane. Like less than 24 hours later, you're getting up, you're going to venues, you're inquiring about markets and how can I, you know, make this good. And that was great because I was feeling quite down, and I was like, oh, you know, that's just so, you know, it's that thing of reflecting each other's thing.
Definitely picking each other up a bit, maybe when the other one's a bit down.
But you know, the thing of like, I feel like I am so set in this mindset of like, you know, running at things and chasing things and getting an enjoyment out of it that I feel as if I kind of don't know how to stop at the minute. And the notion of stopping or being like, we need to, you know, like look up and you know, we got the photo albums out the other day, and we were like, we seem to have done so much stuff, and then in the past couple of years there's not that many photos. There's not many photos, is that? And then that's when we were talking about trying to have some actual time where we go away and we switch off a little bit, and you know, I think that's going to be more of a task for me to do.
I understand,
but I think that maybe
it's just maybe the reason we've not got as many photos from the last year is because we've both been so focused on, you know, chasing these gigs, chasing opportunities, creating opportunities for ourselves, and you get into such a momentum of that, and it does feel good, and then things pay off and it's great, and I did this and I made this happen, and it's so cool and it's so rewarding that, you know, it's been like an amazing year in that sense. But then also when you look back and think, why didn't I like have any film in my camera, and like, why wasn't I noticing things more, like, or why wasn't I like taking photos, like, oh, that's funny, like, let me get a photo of that, or like, when we do this, let's take the camera, let's get some photos, or, you know, like, making those memories in that sense is because both of us get so like in tune with this momentum, and we've spent this year as well like working on ourselves, like our mental health and physical health as well, which is very like results driven. Do you know what I mean? Results driven or task oriented, and things like noticing things and photographing things, and you know, that takes a slow pace, because it makes you stop and notice to take a photo, or to stop and be very present, as opposed to thinking of the 4, 5, 6, 7 endless things that you've got on that day or that week or that month. Or, you know, you and me are used to planning things months and months in advance for work stuff, and being a noticer and a, you know, taking photos and stuff, it does require a bit of a perspective change of like noticing, and I think that's what I'm trying to take away from it, is this thing of like, I need to stop and notice more. That doesn't mean that I stop my mentality of work or my work ethic changes, or I like, oh, I just don't do as much. But it's like, just as much as I'm focusing on getting opportunities and thinking ahead of how I can grow my business, how we can grow the podcast, like all these things, it's like, okay, but you might have so much of that on that you go through your whole day or week or month or like year without really like stopping to look up and like look around and notice things, and, you know, maybe trying to just incorporate that lens more, in the sense of like, you can still be doing all of the great things that you do for yourself and your work and your business, but you're like being mindful that future you will thank you for doing all those things, but they'll also be a bit like, oh, but we didn't
you didn't look up,
we didn't appreciate that for what it was in the moment, or we didn't make that time to have quality time together, experiencing new things, broadening your horizons, maybe like a change of scenery and a change of pace in a sense. But you and me aren't like, you and me wouldn't really benefit from going somewhere and just literally doing nothing. Like, I think we're both quite like active resters, you know, we benefit from movement and from like having a big, you know, day, and it feels great, and then you get the time then to wind down and stuff. Like,
I don't know what I you know, because I remember when going through the photo albums and stuff, it's like when we were younger, I feel like we had a sense of that, like there was a lot of roaming and roving, but that's because there was nothing that we, you know, our lives were structured or rigid in the sense that it was either college or it was uni, and there was an element of like, you know, when you live through a lens and when you're doing things through like a camera or you're doing things like that, it's like, well, a lot of your life is so boring and monotonous that you're trying to find beauty, or you're trying to look for stuff that's like, oh, I'm, you know, like, or you're in, you know, you're trying to escape with like music or making stuff, or, you know, and then I feel as if that it's like I've attained like a good day-to-day life. Like I feel very fulfilled, and I feel very active, and I feel successful in my own way, and that's great. And then it's sort of like, I almost don't feel it's like, not that I don't feel the need to take photos, it's like, but it's this thing of like, I'm probably just making excuses really. It's like, I don't feel the need to try and live it through the lens, because it's just, I'm just enjoying each experience.
I totally
you know?
Get that.
And it's almost like
people say like, oh, like, put your phone away, or put your camera away, like, oh, just live it. And as much as I do believe that and appreciate that, sometimes it takes having a lens to stop and notice and have things like, I've started taking pictures of my food more, and that used to be one of the most annoying things I'd find about people when they'd be like, oh, like, get a photo of my food and my coffee. I'd be like, oh my god, just eat it or just drink it or just be present and stuff. And I'm like, now and I've got like a beautiful like plate of food, or you've made me a meal, or like we're eating out somewhere, I'm like, or that the coffee cup looks cute on the table, I'm like, I'm taking a photo of that because it's a second of just being like, no, like I can take it. And then I'll kind of use my Megs on Toast Instagram as like, that's where I can put just personal things where I'm purposely trying to notice beauty and notice beautiful small things, and then I'm seeking it out more. So it's like it has like a cyclical effect of like I'm seeking it out more, I'm noticing the cup more, I'm noticing flowers more, I'm
100%,
you know what I mean?
100%. And you do need that. It's like that thing of like, you know, you can't like, you know, you get up and like you go and you do your run or whatever, and then you come and get your coffee, and then you drink your coffee out of a paper cup, and then you're home, and then you do your work, and then it takes something as little as like someone brings you a coffee in a nice mug, and you see the coffee and the milk, you know, being mixed. Sounds like just so boring, but you look at that and it's like, I've just missed out on, because it's usually just like, give me the coffee, and then it's like I drink the coffee, and then before I'm even home, the cup's in the bin because I've drank it, and that thing of being like, did you ever just stop to just look at the coffee, look how pretty it is, and then sip it? There's no rush, like you don't have to get home to do something. Look at the steam
coming off it, like sip it, and then it's like, oh, and they're sipping their coffee there, and like oh, and there's other people here, and this was made by them.
It's sunny out, and it's like, oh, actually there's stuff going on here, which is nice.
And I'm sure there's a cute Japanese word for that, you know, like noticing your coffee and noticing like the beauty and things like that. I'm sure there's a word that means that, and I bet it's a Japanese word, because they have words for the best, like taking ikigai and things like that, like
slowing down, and
there's a word where it's like you can make something beautiful from broken pieces, you know, like you put something back together using like a gold filler.
That's
I can't
great.
remember what the word is, but I'm sure there's a word for what we're talking about as well. And I always think of Dead Poet Society as well, you know, when he's like, oh, so what are you all gonna do, you know, like law, science, like doctors, these are all like noble professions, and they're essential to life, but like, and then he's like, poetry, art, beauty, those are the things that we live for. I always think about that, because as much as life can be about the essentials and importance of like things that are like growing and you need to do, it's like, would any of it be worth it without the things like music or beauty and art and noticing things and stuff like that?
It feels like a constant,
it's almost like a sense. Maybe it's like you've got this sense of like your work ethic and your mindset sense of chasing things, seeking things out, seeing opportunities, getting them, thriving on them, and thriving on that, and that's a very good sense that you can tune into. But then like a seventh sense is like the sense of being able to notice things and notice a person and notice what they're doing, or notice, like, you're really good at it as well, like you'll notice like the leaves in the park, or you'll notice like, you know, you'll be like, oh, like this is so cozy, or you'll notice things like that. But maybe it's like, how well can you like tune in to that sense and still have your other ones like ticking over and stuff?
I do find that very hard, and I think, and I know that that's like partly why you were felt a bit upset, maybe because it's like the idea of, you know, you losing touch with yourself and that side of you, because you're like, well, I feel like I used to be able to tune into this stuff easier, and now it feels more difficult. But and why am I so worried about, you know, like markets and gig opportunities, and you know, it shouldn't be like that. I should you know, we're in our 20s, we should be able to switch it and be like, oh, well, you know, like we should
be able to want and have the things that not about like having things like what money can bring you, but having that sense of like,
no, but it's just a bit of like a bit of freedom that comes with that.
The freedom to like stop and look or stop and think, and you
know, I think it is like what feels difficult for me is like they say it's like, okay, well, you know, you have to build habits and you have to build routines, and they're good and they're essential for you.
And you've got plenty of books on them.
All of which are unread, and so you go through. So it's like, okay, like I wanna get healthier, So it's like I know that I have to run or go to the gym, and I have to do that every day. And then you realize that it's not about the body, it's about the mind and how that makes your mind feel. And then you spend your whole year eating crap and rubbish and stuff that's not nutrient dense, and then you spend a year eating nutrient dense food, and you go, oh, this feels amazing. And you stop drinking and you stop smoking, and you go, wow, I just feel so amazing. But that's all come from discipline and routine. But then the other side of what we're looking at, the creative, the beauty, the stop and slow down, I find that leans more into lack of routine. And it's the break of the routine, actually.
That's interesting.
Because if you said, like, it's like, do you want to, let's not go for a run for day. Run for day. Run for day. Oh my.
That's your name. Let's not go for a run for day.
Hey, hello, run for day. Pleasure to run for you today. Like, and you were like, let's go for a stroll and get a brunch. That sounds so. Anyway, it's like, oh my god, like if I was in school, I'm thinking of 16-year-old Mike, where it's strict routine and I don't like the routine. I'd be like, that's gonna be my favorite day of the year. I know it is already. And you say that to me now, and I'm just thinking, I'm gonna feel awful if I don't go and work out.
But how good was our balance of that today? We saw the weather.
Well, I didn't have anything to eat. You know. Like, do you know what I mean? Though it's like. We went, like, I know you were gonna...
Yeah, like, you know, it's like, oh, like, you know, let's not go for a run today. Let's go across the street and we'll just get, you know, I don't know, we'll just get, like, a really, like, over-the-top unhealthy, or we'll not even have it, we'll just wait and then get a Mackey's for lunch. And how mad would that be? It's like, not that there's anything majorly wrong with that, but... You know, like, for you to, like, think that to have creativity or, like, art and beauty and slow and that sort of thing, for you to think that that's a break in the discipline that's going against your discipline, that's such an interesting way to put it, because, like, I think that maybe is the problem.
I think
so. Do you know what I mean?
So,
like, it's seeing those things as, like, at their core negative of, like...
Yeah.
You're stopping to notice that you could be being productive, you could be getting shit done, because that's how people do things, that's how things get done, that's how you've got to where you are now.
Well, that's it. It's like,
I mean?
Because I look at, it's like...
you look at all those photos and you think, what did we achieve? And then you look at the lack of photos and think, oh, look at everything we've achieved, and we've got no photos to show for it and stuff.
That's interesting. That's interesting too. I don't think it's as much as that. I think it's like... I was looking at some of those photos of, like, where I was 2 years ago, and I was looking at them and I was like, it's like, I was really overweight, like, probably borderlining, like...
And you weren't well though as well, don't forget.
I know,
you had an illness.
Yeah, but I think, but that also stemmed from mental health issues as well, because I wasn't, they stack, and I wasn't looking after myself, and I did have a problem, and... You know, I still have that problem now, but it's like it's different now because I look after myself, and it's like, okay, I remember it's like I was taking more photos, but I look at the person in the photos and I don't recognize him genuinely. I remember drinking, I remember smoking, I remember eating rubbish, obviously. Sure, I was making music. I was putting albums out, and I was and I look
cool.
I look at the bedroom, and the bedroom's covered with posters
and everything,
tickets and artwork and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, right, okay. And I remember, I was doing more socially.
Oh, I mean, the photos with this flat full
of people,
mates.
full of people, and also of just being like, like gaming until the early hours every single night.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time thinking that it was awesome, and I look back at it with some element of fondness.
Yeah.
But then I also look at me now, and I'm like, I look so much better now. I feel so much better now, and it's because I've spent the past 2 years implementing a really strong sense of hard discipline, routine, not giving myself a break, but a break. Oh, have a couple of chocolates. It's like, no, I don't do that shit. I'm just I'm good, or maybe I might, but it'll be very rigid. It'll be once a week, mindful, and I know exactly when it's happening, and I'm fine about that.
Yeah.
And it's like that thing of like, we're in a bad place. We need to go out there and change this up. it's as if that what's being said is being like, you need to break,
go back to those things,
not go back, but it's like you need to
loosen up a bit on this discipline.
Yeah, you need to loosen up.
Built.
Yeah. And I don't, and it's like my mind goes into alert, and it's like, no, like, you know what that looks like.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
You know?
Like, yeah, I totally get that though.
And I think that's my demon.
I think that's the demon though. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do think that is wherein the problem. Not that you have a problem, but that maybe is where the discipline has like not gone too far, but where then the discipline has taken over the mind, in a sense that seeing things like us going to the Lake District for a day, or us being like, you know, let's do this, or I don't know, or just you being like, oh, I should put some time into doing this and stuff like that, as you seeing that as these are things that are asking me to loosen up on the discipline that has got me to such an amazing place. Whereas like maybe it's like learning to have those things as well as, and I know that to some extent it's impossible, but I think that there's room in a disciplined life for photos and for
there is, of course there
for
is.
like
I know.
noticing beauty, and I think there's room, and I think it's essential. Do you know what I mean?
It is essential.
To living,
it is.
Like,
it is. It's because it's balanced, and I talk.
Yeah.
I feel like we talk about that all the time,
Yeah.
and the irony about it is, for me, is it's like I felt recently like I'm getting more of the balance back.
Yeah.
And I realized that what I'm actually just doing is doing more of the thing that I'm pushing things harder and heavier.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that just because I'm expanding, that's balance.
Yeah.
And it's not, because I'm finding it really difficult to be like, I'm trying to get excited about like going away and booking somewhere, and I'm trying to be excited about that. And it's like, yeah, because I know I have to, and I know that I have to lean into that, but it's not even like it's me. It's like it's the voice of my brain it's already responding without me even doing anything. It's just like this. It's override, and it's like, it feels like I almost feel like not scared by it, but I just feel like
not good.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
And that's not good, because you got to be able to have 2 or 3 days in the lakes, and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna and then all the pictures you get of me are like topless in some bar, like with a bottle of tequila, just being like with a Mohican, you know. But that's good, because this has been cathartic for me, because
to reflect on, and it doesn't mean that it's like a switch and it just goes off. Things aren't just in the same way that all your habits and disciplines didn't just switch on one day. It's been over the course of years.
Yeah.
With little seeds, and now they're in a flow. It's in the same way that this next couple of days, you know, all we're doing is just slightly dialing that bit of dialing that little bit of noticing, that little bit of like, doesn't mean that anything stops, doesn't mean that you switch off. It's just the tiniest like dial of like, let's stop and like, or let's slow down and actually like spend some quality time together, doing some reflecting, doing some change of scenery, and change of like, not change of pace, because we'll still be doing stuff, but it won't be our average like routine, but it's a way that we can adapt our routine to keep us in a good mental place for the next couple of days, you know.
It feels as if that I need to rewire it feels like I don't have a dial. It feels like I have a switch. And it's like the switch is always on. We need to do some rewiring to bring that dial in a little bit, maybe. Because, you know, like you know, this is the tip of the iceberg, but like last night I was gigging till midnight. I was knackered. I didn't have any food because it came at the time that it was gigging. I couldn't eat beforehand, and so I had to eat after. And I was like, there's no places open. So I was like, the only place that was open was a McDonald's. I had a McDonald's the week before because the gig schedule was the same. Those are the first 2 McDonald's I think I've had all year. And I was like, I'm driving and I'm like, I was like, look, bro, come on, you've just been working all. What are you going to do? You're not going to eat. You're going to starve yourself because there's nothing in. You need something. Have the informed choice. Get like a wrap.
Yeah.
Get the wrap of the day. And I'm like, And then, get a mayo chicken because that's chicken and it's, it's leaner. And I'm like, well, it comes as a meal. So I'm probably going to get the fries with it. And then it's like, and I got to the window and I was like, can I have a Fanta? And he was like, there's no Fanta. So I was like,
no.
And I could have just said, I'll have a Sprite. And then I just instinctively, I was like, guess it's a Coke. Guess I'm having a Coke then. And then I got home and I was like,
Coke's one of Mike's, that's like a trigger thing for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And food is a trigger as well. And then I was like, I've had a tough night. I've had a big weekend. I've made some money. This is all, it's all me, and everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay. And then, get the wrap down me, and I could feel, I feel it, and it's like, oh, and then I feel the.
What wrap was it?
It's like a chicken and bacon wrap.
Nice.
Shouldn't have had any bacon on it. Could have easily said don't put the bacon on it, but went for it anyway. Crispy as well. Could have said have it grilled, but I said no, crispy. I want it crispy. Down the fries, curry sauce.
Or what you could have done was come back here. I don't know how much time you had in the afternoon before, because I know you went to see some family and stuff, so that has an impact on it as well. But you could have prepped yourself a bit of food to just warm up, a chicken pasta or a...
See, I would never do that.
That's
and
interesting,
I would never do that because I have this thing about like I put so much mental stock into my food. The idea of being like, I'm gonna have a meal, like the thing of like eating for sustenance and for...
But you could make it nice. Like you could have done like a tangy tomato and topped it with cheese, like pasta, fresh basil, like I know. And had it, and then all it would have taken was a bit of time in the oven, like a pasta bake sort of thing, and then scran it. But I know what you mean, like
it's different. It's like a thing of like, I'd have come home and been like, so what am I having for dinner? And I'd have been like, I'm having cold, heated up pasta. Yeah, but Meg, you and I both know what pasta's like once it's been in the fridge and then you warm it back up. True. It's just it's a rubbery mess.
Or a meal that isn't pasta then, I guess. But
sure, and I didn't do that, and instead I sort of didn't think ahead, so then I ended up being at the mercy of fast food chains. But I ate the McDonald's, I had my Coke, and then my mate Dan, he was up as well. He'd finished his shift, and then I was like, oh, should we play some COD? We've not done that in a while. And it was like I was almost borderline erratic with like friends. Dan and I always have a laugh, and we were making each other laugh hysterically. Like I was screaming at one point, actually screaming. He was making me laugh so much, and then you had a Coke left in the fridge, so I was now having Coke on top of Coke. I got into bed and I was absolutely buzzed, and I was just thinking like, I'm so ready for whatever's going to come at me. Then I had to spend an hour trying to get off to sleep listening to the Watergate documentary, and then
such a contrast.
Yeah, like what with the Watergate scandal, like trying to get off to sleep. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, 2 hours after when I usually be getting up. I've slept in for an extra 2 hours.
I was
awful. The same. Felt so sluggish. Body felt so depleted. I don't usually feel like that. And it's like that for me, and maybe I am like, maybe I do have like
it's
addiction,
too much of a
or like
it's too much of a pendulum. It's like
that's
not only eating late, it's not only eating what you ate, and it's not only drinking what you drank, and then doing something very stimulating and heightened. Like it's social, it's stimulating, it all
sounds so exciting. It's like I want to do it now.
I know, but then the idea of trying to get to sleep.
Yeah.
It's like maybe with one of those things you can learn to compensate.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
If you'd have eaten really late but had something homemade and maybe less processed and with all the shit. I mean, I love a Mackey's as much as anyone, but I know that they're full of shit. I had a Philly cheesesteak last week. It was incredible. But I know that there's absolutely nothing in that food. It might as well literally be
salt, MSG, sugar.
It's salt and MSG and sugar put together, and then they just like put colourings in it to make it look like a cheeseburger. It's absolute shite. If you'd have come back from your gig late and had a meal that was maybe made here, if I'd have been able to cook and make something you had here, then maybe going to play card and just having some diet lemonade like what we're usually having, maybe you wouldn't have been as erratic and you would have slept a bit better. Or maybe if you'd have finished your gigs at 7, gone and got yourself a little Mackey's, been able to eat it slow, really enjoy it, and then maybe got an early night. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those things maybe is something doable, but it's when they're like,
well, it's like it's like you give yourself a tiny bit of the dopamine, and then it's within reason.
Yeah.
Whereas last night was just like one big.
It was a lot.
But that's what I worry about. I worry about you and I are in the lakes, for example, and it's like, I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to say to myself, you don't have to go and chase some work or some gigs, or you don't have to be in that frame of mind. And you look, if you don't, there's no gym around here. You're on, what you're going to do. You don't have to go to the gym. And then I just start thinking, okay, yeah, fine, I won't do that. And then it's so hard to make that distinction then by being like, yeah, well, I'm on holiday, but what? I'm not going to allow myself to have a glass of Coke. Don't think so, mate, because this is my holiday, and then I'll have a glass of Coke, and
it's
then
funny, isn't it? Like, oh, I'm on holiday. It's such a typical thing of like, oh, whatever.
I thought this was me trying to switch my mindset a little bit and wind down, and that's where it becomes difficult for me. That's where the overlays start getting
that's
grey.
where the balance comes in, because you can still have those things. Like when we go, I do not plan on waking up and not exercising, like in some way, whether that's going for a run or a hike or something.
Yeah.
Because I know that's what makes me feel good, like, and I do not plan on eating shit when we're there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know.
I
know.
Like when we went Wales last year, do you remember? And we stayed at an Airbnb, and we brought all our own food. Like we were gonna prep our own meals and stuff there. But the little hamper that they gave us, like the welcome hamper, had in like a little block of cheese, a little like carrot chutney and some crackers.
Oh, no.
And we ate really well. We ate our normal tea, and then we were like, oh, like, should we just have some? And that was so nice, because it was so silly, and we're not the type of people that have like cheese and crackers at home. Yeah. Unless it's maybe Christmas, and even then you don't really go in for the cheese and crackers at Christmas. But it was so nice, and it was like, there was only a tiny bit of cheese like between us and a couple of crackers and some of that chutney that they'd made, but it was like, but it was so good. And like, it would have been sad to go like, no, we can't have any of that because we don't do that, you know what I mean? Like,
I know, yeah. And I remember actually coming back from that trip, and because that was really, I thought it was a great trip.
It, yeah.
I remember coming back from that trip and actually really struggling for a couple of days, because, and I remember saying to you, like, getting back into the city and being like, oh man, I'm so out of it. Like, this just feels horrible. I want to be back in the hills. I want to be amongst the sheep again.
I know what you mean.
And that was really hard, because then it's like,
just like changing your pace, isn't it?
And then it's like I've set myself back a few days now.
When we go to the spa, and you're like, oh, like you love the spa, but then when you come out of it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be like, I was so relaxed there, and now I'm gonna be dead stressed because I'm back in the thing. And then I remember saying like, no, but you can take that mindset with you a bit if you like, you can remember being there and be like, oh, that was so nice to just like take a load off and sit in the sauna. And I'd be really positive, and you'd be like, no. Like, to the point where you wouldn't want to go and like really enjoy it again in case you got too relaxed.
I know, and I'm still like that, because it's like, I don't know how many times, right, I come out of that, those lounges. The
lounges really get to you, don't they?
They have these lounges.
They make you feel weightless.
They're heated and they make you feel weightless. And we'll do a workout before we go into the spa.
Yeah. So, which is always like, I'm always like, that's amazing, because we're meant to be at a hotel right now. The gym is always empty.
Oh yeah, I've never seen anyone else working out in there, which is a real shame, because it's a beautiful gym, cracking gym. And then we do our massive, like, our cold showers, which are like
freezing cold.
They're like walk-in showers, so like they're really good. And then I've only been awake like an hour and a half, and then I go and sit on these lounges that are heated, and I'm on there, and I am in so much peace. And then I'll feel you sort of like stirring a bit, and you'll be like, should we move towards the sauna and the salt room? And I'm just like, no, like, I feel so at peace right now. I don't want to move. I don't want to do anything. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, great. And then we go and do the sauna, or we go and do like the
salt room.
The salt room. And then I'm like, I do all that stuff, and I'm feeling so amazing. And then I'm just like, you get out and you're straight back into like Manchester City Centre, Ring Road, hour and a half home, traffic jam, horns beeping,
admin, emails,
and then it's like, I can't sit there and pretend to be like I'm zen with all this. I can't do it. Like, I just.
But that's what I mean. I feel like life can't be either one or the other. Like, you have to learn that balance of enjoying and appreciating one, and enjoying and appreciating the other in a different way. You know, like, you know, I used to have this thing. I remember at Lush, I used to always go get Lush treatments when I was working there because we got them like for free or at least 50% off. And I'd be loving it so much, but as soon as they'd start, I knew the treatment so well that I'd know when it was over, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want this treatment to end. Like, I just want to stay here. Like, it's almost tough. Like when it starts, I'm already thinking that I know when it's going to be over because I know it so well and stuff, and I know. But then it's like, yeah, but just practice being present and enjoying it and being like, oh, that was so nice. And then now my perspective is so nice for the day, and now I get to go and do these things. And then that perspective and that mindset is always within you there, and it's learning 100%, to like 100%. Be able to access it without the need for always going and getting a massage. Do you know what I mean? But it's okay to go and get a massage.
I do.
You know?
And I know that that's essential to implement. I'm just thinking, I don't want to wrap this up, but I've just got there's a disc storage thing.
It's about time we wrap up, actually.
Just in case it just cuts off mid thing because we're at capacity.
Yeah, that's about the right time, I think. But yeah, we really hope that you've enjoyed this one, and you know, we would really appreciate if anyone has got a second to go and give our new page a share or a follow, or you know, let us know.
That would genuinely mean the world. It would mean
a lot.
Yeah.
So, hope you're doing well.
Thanks for tuning in. Had a good week. Yeah, thanks for being here with us again, and
feel free to reach out to us anytime as well.
Yeah, of course, always. And you know, this has been a really nice session for me. I felt very cathartic and good. So, thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon.
We'll
Thanks
catch you
so
in the
much.
Next one, guys. And next time we'll be filling you in about how our little trip went.
Yeah.
And if we made it through.
There's already so much pressure now.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you. Bum.